Alrighty, gang, let's get into this. I don't have a ton of time. I apologize. So this will be a pretty quick one. Really quick, I just wanted to put in my predictions for the college football playoff. Indiana and Notre Dame are about ready to kick off. So I thought I'd put my predictions in super quick just before it starts. I'll try to get this video up right after I record it. Ideally, I don't need a ton of cuts or editing to be done. So let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, we'll start with the game that is tonight. I'm going to take Indiana in this one. And then I can't remember the exact order for tomorrow. I think it then goes SMU and Penn State. I'll try to remember to go through and give some score predictions after this. I am going to take Penn State at home to beat SMU, the Mustangs, Broncos, whatever. No, Broncos is Boise State. We'll leave the last one here at the end. We'll leave that is the last game anyways. So then we got Clemson versus Texas. I'm not buying the whole Cade Klubnik took a turn. I'm not buying that Dabo is competent again. So I'm going to go with Texas in this one. And then we obviously have my team, Ohio State, playing home versus Tennessee. I couldn't feel worse about this, but I think it's because Michigan, for the fourth year in a row, ruined my fucking life. I don't want to talk about that. I apologize. I didn't do a reaction video. I didn't do a pregame video for that either. I told you guys on stream that day or the day prior, if Ohio State lost to Michigan yet again, assuming I don't end it all, which I was this close. I needed one more reason, and that was pretty darn close to being the last reason. But anyways, I'm done venting. I still can't taste food. I still can't sleep. Nothing brings me enjoyment or satisfaction ever in life. I will be a homer on this one. I do think our coaches aren't going to be totally incompetent. And maybe if the only way Michigan could beat you would be to run right at their two all-star first-round top 10 draft picks, defensive tackles. Gonna assume we're not gonna run straight at the teeth of them because Tennessee actually does have a good defensive line as well. I think, I think most defenses in the entire country would have trouble covering our receivers. So I'm just gonna bank on, we're not gonna be that incompetent yet again. So we will say the Buckeyes beat Tennessee. Really quick, if I had to give score predictions, I apologize. I'm doing this kind of quick. So I'll say Indiana, I don't know. We'll say Indiana scores 24. Notre Dame, I don't buy Riley Leonard. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback, to be perfectly honest with you. So I don't know. We'll say Notre Dame 17. After this, I'm going out with a chick that I've been seeing for a little bit, and she's a Notre Dame graduate. So I gotta pretend that I'm rooting for him, but I'm not, because nobody likes Notre Dame unless you actually went there. So, anyways, moving right along here. Penn State hosting the Broncos. I apologize. The Mustangs of Southern Methodist. We'll say I have no idea for weather what that's gonna look like. I just assume cold for these Midwestern games. So we'll say Penn State, we'll say they drop 31. And we'll say the Mustangs, who I think the crowd's going to be too much for, to be honest with you. Albeit it is going to be a noon game. I'm fully aware of that. We'll say they drop, how about 14? Why not? Just because. And then we'll go over to Clemson and Texas. Now, I don't even know, is Quinn Ewers starting? What's the deal with him? Some people were saying he wasn't with the team. There's all this transfer talk. I'm assuming Quinn Ewers is starting this game. Even so, I think you could make an argument they might even be better with Arch Manning. But I think Texas opens it up. They look pretty good against Texas A&M. So we'll say Texas drops 41. So what is that? That's 5 touchdowns and 2 field goals. I don't know. Well, maybe they drop 6 touchdowns. They miss an extra point. I'm not a math guy. Don't fact check me on that. And again, I don't buy Clemson whatsoever. So we will be generous and give them 27, which these aren't great games, to be honest, up to this point. Lastly, Ohio State, Tennessee. Who knows? Who knows what Ohio State team is going to show up? So we'll say the Buckeyes get to Well, we don't have a field goal kicker. Our field goal is literally a rotting potato. So we ain't making any field goals. Honestly, that's giving him two. I'll say he misses an extra point and we convert a 2-point conversion. And then we'll say Tennessee 24. Sorry for the 4 there, but you get the idea. So moving on to the second round here, the quarterfinals. I believe Carson Beck isn't with the team. He's not going to play in this game. I still think Georgia's way too talented. Gonna pose way too much of a problem for Indiana. So I don't. What are we gonna say here? Say I don't know. 31. The Bulldogs. They've been there before. Been there, done that. And Indiana will drop. I think they're going to get kind of smashed, which is annoying because then we're going to have to hear all the SEC chants, but, you get it. So for Georgia, we'll just put a big G. The Broncos and Penn State. I'm not sure where these bowl sites are, I apologize. I think Ohio State, Oregon is potentially the Rose Bowl, or Oregon's matchup is potentially the Rose Bowl. I'm going to take the Broncos. I think Alvin Gentry runs wild over Penn State. I don't think James Franklin does well in good games, or in big games, excuse me. And I think he's going to blow this like he blows every other big game, top 5 matchup, even though I'm fully aware the Broncos would appear are number 9 according to this. So I'll say the Broncos 24, Penn State 21. Boise State moving right along here. I can tell you right now, I'm going to have them getting buried by Georgia. Texas versus Arizona State. Look, maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment on Arizona State's Big 12 championship win. That coach I'm a big fan of, and I'm not buying Sark and I'm not buying Texas, especially with how Quinn Ewers has been looking. So I'm actually going to go with the Sun Devils here. We're going to take Arizona State. I really like their coach. He's super aggressive, goes for it like 4th and, you're down and he goes for it 4th and whatever that was, like 3 from his own 40-yard line or something like that. So I think the team's running. I think the team's hot right now, and that's a dangerous team. Speaking of dangerous teams, when they get hot and when we're not incompetent, which I can't stress that part enough. I'm so bitter about that Michigan game. I cannot get over it. Should have been us playing the Mustangs than the Broncos for the record. Although I do think Boise State is going to be a tough matchup for anybody, except for Georgia, as we're going to find out here in a second. It's hard to beat the same team twice. I don't know how they're going to get it done, but I think Ohio State is going to catch fire, catch momentum after the Tennessee win. And then Ohio State, Oregon square off. I think Ohio State shocks the world. I think it's one of those where, okay, let's call balls and strikes. I'm actually pretty biased. However, I still maintain, I think us and Georgia have the 2 best rosters in the country. So when our NFL coaches just aren't the, I don't want to go too far there. When we call the game plan, we should. How about that? We're pretty good, and we have a pretty good team. How about you throw to your NFL wide receivers that could start in the NFL right now, even the true freshman, Jeremiah Smith. I think Ohio State's going to get the job done. I'm just going to try to do an early prediction that I think Dylan Gabriel struggles against our defense. Maybe he has some unusual turnovers, for lack of better words. I think the Buckeyes get it done by a score of, I didn't give a score for Arizona State. I think Ohio State drops 38 and Oregon 31. I'd be generous because I think our defense is actually playing pretty well. I think Arizona State wins kind of a close one. We'll say, 24-21. Then you got Ohio State versus Sun Devils. You got Georgia versus Boise. I think Georgia then buries Boise, to be honest with you. They contain Alvin Gentry, and I don't even know who Boise's quarterback is, to be totally honest with you. All apologies to Boise State and everyone of the great state of Idaho. I couldn't name one other player on your team other than Alvin Gentry for obvious reasons. By the way, should he have won the Heisman? Part of me says that he possibly should, although we'll probably never in our lifetime see another player similar to Travis Hunter. He was pretty spectacular too, so I didn't have a big issue with it, but everyone's been blowing up on social media about it. So I think Georgia's going to put a 45 chicken nugget on their head. Boise will give them, we'll say 21. we'll be generous. So then that puts UGA in the championship. And for our other semifinal matchup, we got the Buckeyes taking on the Sun Devils. Yet again, I'm biased. I'll be the first one to admit, so I apologize for that. This could come crashing down. I don't feel good about our game against Tennessee whatsoever, and I wouldn't feel good about it against Oregon. Wouldn't feel good about it against Arizona State either. However, the one thing I do feel good about is our defense, and I do think we're able to contain Scadaboo a little bit. So we'll give them, I'm going to say 13, and the Buckeyes will end up dropping 31 on them. I'm going to get roasted for this. The more I look at these scores, the more I'm not a huge fan of this. I'm so sorry for the horrible production value, by the way. This is kind of how we do things here if you're new. So I apologize for that. And then obviously we got the championship matchup between the Buckeyes and the Bulldogs. Repeat game from 2 years ago when we had CJ Stroud. Instant classic. That was an awesome game to watch. I think it would be another good one. I'm going to say that Ohio State reclaims the throne, quite frankly, because I do think after 4 straight losses to Michigan, I do think that it is natty or bust for Coach Day. And ideally, the team is coming in with a good mindset. Maurice Clarett did an interview. I think he also tweeted about it, and he said the exact same thing. It just in regards to Ohio State seems ready. What else would he say, though, right? I actually feel terrible. I think my kind of for Ohio State, Tennessee, and I may put out a separate prediction video for this, and I apologize. I'm not going to be able to get a prediction video up for Indiana and Notre Dame. I have to get going here in a hot minute as well. But I think Ohio State either gets the doors blown off of them by Tennessee in round 1 or they win a close one. And as we get closer, we can talk about Oregon and all the other games if we even make it to the quarterfinals. So I'm not quite prepared to even start talking for down the road. I think Ohio State wins. I just wanted to get a formal bracket prediction out. That way, if Ohio State does win it all, or if Boise does upset Penn State, then I can say, oh yeah, see, I told you. Same with the Sun Devils over Texas. But you get the idea. So I don't know. We'll say Ohio State drops 38 and Georgia 34. Somebody check my math on how we even get to those numbers, but it is what it is. We'll figure it out. So making the Ohio State Buckeyes, and boy, what a narrative shift that would be. Been Ryan Day's biggest supporter, been his biggest defender for the last, I guess, technically 3.5 years. But my God, that offensive game plan against, can't even talk about it. The Michigan game, it's the bane of my existence. It's all I have. You guys took it from me. So, but no, I'm excited for the Indiana Notre Dame game tonight. I'm excited for all these matchups, actually. I think a lot of them are pretty intriguing. So we shall see. I just wanted to get this out so that it is made. And I know some of you guys are going to pull that bullshit where it's something to the effect of like, well, you made this video after the Indiana Notre Dame game. God forbid I actually get it right. How do I close out of this? Okay, well, it's already up there. It's in what is the day and time right now? Well, I don't want to use my precise location. That's all right. We can work with this. So, Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Here we are, 5:34, Friday, December 20th. I'm not lying. I'm serious. But look, I'm gonna get most of these wrong anyways. I lost it from my marker on the screen, so I'm not gonna be able to even remember everything that I said. I got Ohio State winning it. I'm obviously biased. The biggest thing is even when Ohio State makes March Madness in basketball, and we're like a 10 seed, and I know we're not very good. I know we're not going to win it all, but I still have to pick them because I refuse to give anyone the satisfaction. If I don't pick it and they do go on a run, then I'm going to look like I'm not a true fan or something, So, all right, y'all, I got to run. That is my bracket prediction. Again, sorry I took it off the screen. Enjoy the games, and like I said, hopefully I'll be able to do some breakdowns or previews for some of the games tomorrow we shall see. Certainly for the games down the road, or maybe even some reactions after the games. We'll see. I think I'll probably be on stream tomorrow morning, so I'll talk to you guys then. Anyways, I got to run. Thank you so much for watching the video. Appreciate you. Have a good rest of your night. Later, y'all.